Welcome to the Business Technology Podcast, where we simplify tech for business owners who don't have time to waste. I'm Scott.
And I'm Alec.
Every week, we break down practical tools, smart strategies, and real-world stories that help your business work better. Let's dive into today's episode. So we had one of our clients that was paying for Dropbox for years and ended up being thousands of dollars a year for however many users they have and how much data they had before realizing that SharePoint did everything they needed. And they were already paying for that as well. So that's what we're talking about. Are you using duplicate tools? And we see this a lot. So we're just going to kind of get into the list of it. So audit your existing IT stack, because you're going to find a couple examples like this. I'm just going to go straight off into the list. If you're paying for Dropbox to store your company files, well, you may not need that, because if you're already paying for Microsoft, they have SharePoint that takes care of that for you. A lot of people know what Loom is. It's kind of like a video tool that you can use for recording SOPs. Microsoft has that built in as well. They call it Stream. We've adopted that. We got rid of Loom here internally at ITS. One thing I see a lot as well is Calendly. Calendly is a pretty popular meeting booking tool. You can send all out to scheduled meetings. Well, Microsoft has that as well, Microsoft Bookings. So it's a great, useful tool. You can even click a button to add it right to your email signature across all devices. So you have a little bit more functionality with Bookings, in our opinion. People are still paying for Zoom. I know when 2020 came around, we needed a quick way to do video conferencing, and Zoom was kind of the best that we all could come up with at the time. Well, now you don't have to do that anymore, because Teams within Microsoft has a robust enough video meeting tool that it can replace all those Zoom meetings that you were doing. You can replace that subscription. You don't really need it if you're already in the Microsoft environment. So if you're kind of listening, you're kind of catching a pattern that if you are using Microsoft in the Office Microsoft environment, there's already a ton of applications that you're going to use, that you can use now, that can replace what you're already paying for. If you don't use Microsoft, or you're just getting their basic email license, this may not actually apply to you. But I'm talking about the businesses who are using Microsoft's Modern Workplace, M365, and they're probably at least at like the business premium level of subscription, which is including all these tools that I'm talking about, like SharePoint, Stream, Bookings, Teams obviously is included in even basic licenses. But you should really be encouraging your employees to be teamsing with each other and not like texting or not using Slack, if that even still is a thing in your channel. It may be for some organizations, but most companies are transitioning over to Teams, just because there's a really lot of features and benefits with using it, having automatic transcriptions, and then having the Copilot AI tool actually put meeting notes together with tasks assigned. And you can create awesome workflows where those tasks actually get assigned to their Outlook task in there, and you can have calendar, or you can have time-based and due dates, all based on what was discussed in the meeting. So that's just more reason why you wouldn't want to be using Zoom and move into that Teams environment.
And one bigger thing, to kind of take a step back as well, we mentioned Copilot in one of our previous episodes, but by using really everything under the Microsoft suite that they have to offer, you're able to utilize your organization's kind of full brain by using Copilot at that same time. You're not going to be in a meeting in Zoom hoping that you're in Teams, because Teams has the ability to transcribe, record, do all these other things, share internal notes. Same with all of these other Microsoft ones that you're mentioning. It's just going to better mesh with the entire environment, rather than trying to push something in that doesn't naturally fit.
Push Microsoft on anybody, it's just what we see a lot of. And most people use Windows machines, and those use the Office apps. The cool part about all these Windows tools we're talking about is they're available on any device. If you use an Apple laptop, if you use an iPhone, you can still access Word, SharePoint, Stream, for example. These are all readily accessible across any device that you choose to use from. So maybe consider making the switch, because it is that flexible environment now, where you may have been worried in the past about, hey, does this work on my MacBook, for example, because it's a Word document, and that used to be an issue, but now everything's super compatible. You can allow your employees to use whatever device they want, and they can still connect to these systems that we're talking about in Microsoft.
Yeah. And let's say, we're finding ourselves in that position where we go, oh, I'm definitely overpaying or paying for more than I should when it comes to just excess applications or subscriptions, how do you go about kind of auditing that? Are you just going through bank statements going, okay, there's one, there's two, or what would you recommend these businesses do to actually audit themselves?
It's a great question. I kind of prepped with a checklist ahead of time, so we'll run through that and tell you what we do here personally. So step number one really just starts with collecting the invoice. Get all the invoices you have. What the heck are we paying for? Anything that has a recurring charge on it, we want to know about it, because this is what we're trying to get rid of, some of that bloat, that monthly expense, those subscriptions that we're falling victim to at some point. So get them all together, and then let's kind of categorize them into different tools. Is something for like collaboration or communication? Is something like a security tool? Is this like a productivity tool? Put those in those different categories that way. And then you want to check your existing platform. So look at those subscriptions you have. In this case, we can talk about Microsoft. Are you paying for business premium licenses? If so, you can review the apps that are included with Microsoft Business Premium to see, hey, do they have the security tools I'm already paying for? Like Microsoft Defender is an antivirus and security tool that's included with that license. Then you may be able to replace some other antivirus software that you've been paying for additionally a la carte. So understanding what's included in those licenses you're already paying for is super critical. It's kind of like the next step. And if you don't know what you are paying for, this is where it's important to find someone who you can partner with who does know. Find an MSP in your area who can help you understand and audit these IT bills, because let's be honest, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, whatever the case may be, you're a busy business owner that doesn't have time to go through all these invoices. If you're paying for 80 different tools, we said, I mean, that could completely inundate you with having to research and figure it out, but it's something that needs to be done, and it's important to kind of find those hidden costs that you're not paying for.
And it's also not just necessarily, unnecessary or excessive applications and subscriptions. Oftentimes we find that people have been paying for employees who left, months or years ago, and they're no longer in the organization, but they're still fronting hundreds or sometimes thousands of dollars a year to pay for these services that they're not going to use.
Right.
So it's not just, like I said, auditing all your applications. It's also auditing who you're paying for to utilize those as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And who's even adopted it, right? Who's even logged into the tool ever? Definitely don't pay for them, but definitely don't pay for the employees who are no longer with you.
Yeah.
So that's always a good way to spot check that you're not overpaying for licenses. If you only have 15 employees, but you're paying for 25 licenses, hey, there's some money you could save right there, obviously. So once you've kind of decided, okay, who's going to adopt the tools that we currently have, and here's what we're probably going to keep, that's when you can kind of put a strategy together, right? How are we trying to improve security? Are we trying to improve collaboration? Are we just trying to save costs? What is our top priority? Once you've identified that, then you can hopefully make some cuts. You can cut down the number of licenses, contacting the vendor, say, hey, I don't need this many. Just cut those back. And do this on an annual basis. So that's kind of the last thing is just set an annual reminder to go through all of these invoices that you're paying for on a monthly basis and see if you can get rid of any of these. So I highlighted a couple examples in the beginning, but time and time again, we come into a new environment and we do find they are paying for Dropbox. They're paying for like Calendly, even if it's like not a huge fee, it does add up, and all these are included. So people are stoked to find out, like, hey, I have this new IT bill from this provider who's new partnered with me and put me in a better, more secure position to be as operationally efficient as I can be. Oh, and that's kind of the icing on the cake is, they also saved me a bunch of money. I didn't even realize that I was paying for this or I was overpaying for this. And maybe an IT professional is someone who can help you kind of look at those more in depth. But from a high level, that's kind of like the strategy I would take. Just like collect all the invoices, take a look at them, talk to your employees, who's actually using what, and just make sure you're not overpaying for people who aren't there anymore.
Definitely. And I also think it's important that, in a time where so many tools and, new systems are coming out for people to buy and implement, really understanding what your goal is for, your use of technology or whatever that application is. There's so many organizations that we see just buy the new shiny thing. and they don't know how to use it. They bought it because it said it can do something, but they have no idea how to implement it. So if we are going to at least use these applications and we're going to spend the money on them, train yourself and your team so you're actually getting, the money worth out of them. And it's not just something you pay to say that you have. It's something that you're actually using to its full efficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, from the security-minded individual, they would point out the risk associated with those tools that aren't kind of being used, right? Logins that just kind of have been left unchecked. If no one's checking it and it's receiving company data, but you don't actually need it, why not just get rid of that risk all completely? Everyone can sleep a little bit easier knowing that, hey, that AI tool we don't really quite use, we actually decided because we looked at the invoice we're not going to keep. Or that sneaky little auto renewal that came in that you found on your credit card statement. You're like, oh, I keep seeing this $16 a month like transcription subscription or whatever example you're paying for. But it's like, it's like you don't pay for a gym membership and not show up. Like you feel really guilty about it. Just don't do that with your business. Like don't be overpaying for things you don't need. If you want a more in-depth guide, we've actually put one together. So we'll include a link to that in the show description. But if you also look up on Google, just ITS Telecom, a guide to auditing your IT technology, you might be able to find it that way as well. I'll talk about one example again without naming names, but it was a law office who, once we did this exercise. We consolidated all the bills, and we found Dropbox, right? We found Calendly, we found the Loom, we also found one other one. I think it was like SurveyMonkey, which also could be replaced. It added up to $7,200 a year. 12 months of subscription of that. Those were all able to be eliminated. I mean, and she'd been paying for those since 2020. So 5 times 7,200.
Almost $40,000.
Almost $40,000 in just unnecessary costs because you didn't know maybe what was out there, or you never thought to like check or consolidate. So let that be a reminder to everybody listening that there are savings out there. They may not be visible right in front of you, and that's why you have to kind of do the work. Look at those recurring charges. Talk to an IT professional if you really don't understand what's included in your current subscription. And if your current IT provider isn't asking you about the tools in the stack that you're currently using, I don't think they're doing a good enough job for you. They should be looking out for you and making sure you're not overspending on technology. That money could be spent on better things like improved security, more efficient tools, AI automations in the workplace. But do it annually and you'll find some savings, hopefully, like this client.
Definitely. And I think that again is a really just honest and real example. I mean, we live in a world where subscriptions are so small on a monthly basis. It's very easy to kind of have it be out of sight, out of mind. And when 10, 15 of them kind of add up on a monthly basis, it can become a little overwhelming to even try and tackle the cancellation of those. So
totally
reach out, figure out what it is that you guys are actually needing versus just overspending or just wasting.
Here's a little bonus one you actually told me about before this, but if you're paying for call recording and transcription, and you don't really use that tool a lot, but you only ever want it every once in a while, well, you can actually cut that feature from your phone plan and simply download that MP4 recording of the phone call and upload it into Word using like their speech recognition tool. Their dictation tool will automatically transcribe that meeting, that recording into something that you can read and plug into your large language model. And
all you need is either the MP4 or WAV file, and you'd be good to go. So that was just other, because there's so many AI tools that are built to transcribe, but Word has it already built inside of it. So
right.
Again, just a lot of kind of redundant tools out there that Microsoft has already said, hey, use them.
Yep, absolutely. They've really put a strategy together to kind of get people into their environment by offering most things to many people.
Yeah.
And they've done a good job of that, which is why we typically like to see people in that modern workplace environment with M365.
Definitely.
So that's really it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week. So that's it for today's episode of the Business Technology Podcast. Our goal is simple: to be your go-to resource for all things business technology. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you'd like more information about ITS, you can find us on Instagram at ITS Telecom, or you can find us on LinkedIn at Integrated Telemanagement Services. Both are linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on a later episode.